In 2009, an e-invoicing company was founded, and 1 year later they started trading under the name of Tradeshift. 2 years on, they are known mainly for their promotion of free electronic invoicing for suppliers. Christian Lanng is the CEO of the company and co-founded Tradeshift back in 2009, having worked with the Danish government before that and also having been involved in technology startups. Christian is here with me today.
Christian, there has been obviously a lot of activity in this market with SAP buying one of your main competitors, Ariba, and Basware recently announcing the acquisition of 30Post. I'd be really interested to know what your view is on the level of consolidation that is happening in this market, and do you believe that this market is overcrowded now?
I think it's always interesting when a market hit a certain maturity, and at the same time you have a very big disruption going on. Of course there is consolidation, and I think a lot of people, for instance, they were scared of the SAP acquisition of Ariba, and you see the market reacting by trying to have people buy their way to matching network sizes. At the same time, I also think that some of the older business models are getting harder and harder to defend. We see more and more customers who are aware of the options in the market, who are asking really intelligent questions, and where both not just network size but also network growth matter. And I think if you can't grow using your existing model, and that's both on the buyer and the supplier side, you need to do something else to grow, and I think that's where consolidation plays a role. I think interestingly enough that this wave of consolidation and in 2012 have mainly been driven by either business model or sort of wanting to counter the SAP and Ariba move. And I think really the next wave of consolidation, which will happen I think in 2013 and 14, will be driven by technology. And I think that's just as you've seen in many other markets, that as technology really starts to pick up, and remember this is an industry that's very old but is not technologically very mature. And I think you haven't seen the kind of disruption you've seen Google bring to other industries, the Salesforce brought to CRM, for instance. So I think as this picks up, you'll see even more consolidation as players will try to keep up, and that way maintain their position in the markets. I think in a sense this is an overcrowded market, but I think if you look at the real players who are actually moving today and who are innovating and who bring out new stuff, it's a very limited market. I would probably count it on 2 or 3 names.
In your opinion, what does the acquisition of Ariba by SAP actually mean for an organization like Tradeshift? Do you see an opportunity opening up, or do you see it as a big threat? Do you see it as a very promising sign for the future? What's your perception of that activity that's happened in the last 6 months?
I think so for us personally, it's been really great, and I think when you have a global network like Ariba being bought by SAP, it means that a lot of customers are immediately also looking at what the alternatives are. And I think currently Tradeshift is the only global, as in fully global, alternative to Ariba in the world. So that means we suddenly got a lot of interest from players we didn't before, and we're talking to a lot of customers we didn't do before. I also think it's great that in a sense you can say that a competitor like Ariba gets taken out of play a little bit by being stuck in SAP acquisition for the next few years. And I think personally that this market is going to be developing towards a much more open model and a platform model. And I think SAP is of course going to have one vision for that model that includes a lot of SAP services in the SAP ecosystem. And I think that's going to be fine for the top of the supply chain. But I certainly think that for those who have a more open vision of where the world is going, and that includes the customers, of course, it's a very exciting time indeed.